So welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us for our September webinar as we kick off the 2020 to 2021 school year. This webinar is Adjusting to College Planning under COVID-19. So things have really changed for the class of 2020 and also beyond, just in terms of graduation looking quite a bit different, enrolling into college, planning for their future, post-secondary planning, starting with COVID changes in the spring, and now we've really moved into this new school year. So as we continue to have virtual instruction due to COVID, admissions processes and requirements are rapidly changing. So today we're going to talk a little bit about enrollment trends, and for those of you that are supporting upperclassmen, juniors, and seniors as they gear up for the college admissions process, we will cover some very important updates in today's webinar. So special thanks to the over 400 educators that have registered for today's webinar. We're seeing some fantastic attendance, and we really appreciate that at Texas OnCourse because we know how busy things are and how many webinars are out there. So we're really trying to make these an effective use of your time and cover information that's really valuable. In terms of webinar, our attendees are muted and we have some panelists that are our guest speakers today, but we will offer several opportunities for discussion. We have some question and answer time built in through the webinar, and we always follow up with an email that includes all of the resources that we covered this morning, links as well, and it will include a full recording of the webinar. With Texas OnCourse, all Texas students, no matter where they come from or where they're headed, have a plan for success after high school. So if you are just learning about Texas OnCourse, we are a state-funded initiative designed to improve college and career readiness programs across the state of Texas. And we operate out of UT Austin, and we work in really close collaboration with the Texas Education Agency, the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board, and also the Texas Workforce Commission. This is just a reminder that don't forget to like our YouTube channel. All of our webinars are posted from our monthly webinar series, and this is the third year of our series. We also have a lot of different videos that are from our academy, shorter learning videos and things like that, and you can receive notifications and also search by topic. So that YouTube channel is listed right there on the slide. So I'm just going to go over the agenda for today's webinar, Adjusting to College Planning under COVID-19. So we have some really valuable updates from the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board about college enrollment, trends, things that are changing, rapidly changing, and that is from Dakota Doman, Senior Director for Strategic Initiatives and Policy Implementation. And then our staff at Texas OnCourse, we've pulled some resources to show you. Samantha Gonzalez is going to cover some resources in the Academy, and Allison Rizzolo is going to cover some new programs that we've just launched, even in the last couple of weeks. And then Caitlin Watson, College and Career Coordinator from Gerald ISD, is going to review some district perspectives and things that just will help your student engagement as you go into the school year. And then we will definitely have some time for question and discussion. My name's Laura Guggen, and I'm Assistant Director of Program Implementation at Texas OnCourse. My background is in high school counseling and as a college and career coordinator, and I've worked in several different states as a school counselor. Dakota?
Good morning. My name is Dakota Doman. I have the pleasure of serving as the Senior Director for Strategy and Policy at the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board, and my background is primarily in student affairs and enrollment management at the university level.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Samantha Gonzalez, the Content and Resources Program Manager. I have a background in college access and success, and at Texas OnCourse, I support the content curation, creation, and maintenance of all Texas OnCourse resources.
Hi, everyone. My name's Allison Rislow, and I head up marketing and communications for Texas OnCourse.
My name is Caitlin Watson. I'm the College and Career Coordinator in Gerald ISD. I'm also a Texas OnCourse Leader Fellow, and my background is in secondary school counseling.
Okay, so before we go into some of our updates, we have a lot of people that have already even sent in some things that they were interested in hearing about in today's webinar. But if you want to just take a moment and let us know what are some college planning questions you'd like us to cover in this webinar. We've planned our content around what folks need to know and what they've asked us to cover. And it's something that we may or may not be able, to discuss today. But if you want to go ahead and put some comments in the chat box, and we can just take a look at what kind of questions people have. Great, so I see I'm taking a look at the chat box here. Our SAT and ACT scores optional. We'll talk a little bit about test optional campuses. We have some interesting questions on letters of recommendation. Some are going to a more holistic review. Is the TSI still required for Texas schools for admission? College planning virtually. How can we help our students with financial aid remotely? Great question. We've had some DACA questions. Are colleges looking at endorsements? These are great questions. At-home testing, ways to assist students virtually with FAFSA. That's great, because I think if we don't answer all of these questions in today's webinar, we will collect these as we plan for future content and for future webinars. EOC scores, college prep course for TSI, that's great. Okay, well, we were going to go ahead and get started since we only have till 11 a.m. and we have some great information to cover today. And what we don't get answered, we will follow up and investigate for you all. All right, Dakota.
Awesome. And I think you're right, Laura. These are some great questions. And so I'm really excited to be here with you all. As was stated, my name is Dakota Doman. I serve as the Senior Director for Policy and Strategy at the Coordinating Board. And I have served as the Vice President for Student Affairs and Enrollment Management at a few institutions all over the nation. And I'm happy to be back in the state of Texas, as I am a proud Houstonian and a product of the Houston ISD. The topic of college planning is actually very personal to me, as I'm also the proud uncle of a nephew who is graduating high school, and he is undergoing the college admissions process. And with that, of course, he's asking me a lot of different questions. And I realized that the process in planning for college during COVID is very different than planning for college under normal instances. And so okay, let's get into the next slides, and I will talk a little bit about what we're going to do here today. So when we talk about planning for college, I think it's important to look at the statewide perspective and realize how COVID is impacting the fall enrollment trends for our community colleges and for our four-year universities. And for many of our students, the option to attend college starts and ends with the question, how much does it cost and what are my ways to pay for it? So I'm definitely going to spend a little bit of time talking about the various types of state-funded financial aid. And of course, because of COVID, the cost of attendance is being impacted as well. And I think it's important to have a conversation with students so that they realize, for one, what is the cost of attendance and how is COVID impacting that COA as well. Perhaps the biggest COVID admissions implication, and I saw it a lot inside the chat thread, was the test requirements as well. And so we're going to have a quick discussion about the institutions who are becoming test optional, and how long they're going to operate in that space. And then, of course, I want to have a conversation about how we as a coordinating board can assist you in your role with assisting students. So let's get started. So Texas has long been considered an enrollment hotbed of sorts, and we are one of the few states that are projected to experience a double-digit percentage increase in high school graduates over the next 10 years. This particular projection comforted a lot of the higher education landscape because we could expect a great increase in enrollment if we could do a good job at convincing those graduates to stay in the state of Texas. Despite the increases we are experiencing in high school graduates, our college enrollment trend is not consistent with that growth for this upcoming year. Even more of a phenomenon is usually when the local and state economy is compromised, as it is now, community colleges would benefit and experience an enrollment increase. And that is just not the case right now. Community colleges do a great job, of course, at addressing the workforce needs through technical training and, of course, providing dual enrollment partnerships as well. However, I was recently on a call with the Texas Association of Community Colleges and their 50 partners who represent the community college and the community college districts. And all but one of the 50 indicated that they are experiencing a sharp enrollment decline. Again, all of one said that they were experiencing a particular decline. So there is only one, as of last Wednesday, there was only one community college who were saying that they were experiencing an increase in enrollment. And in terms of the decline, those were at the FTE and the head count and for contact hours. So many of the community college programs actually require a clinic rotation or lab of sorts. And of course, COVID has impacted the ability to conduct business as usual, thus forcing institutions to either limit the program offerings, or some institutions had to make the very difficult decision to not accept students in some medical training programs and technical programs due to the lab and clinical constraints. And that's, of course, very unfortunate. The four-year environment is faring slightly better, but even they are still holding their collective breaths until the payment deadline. We'll go to the next slide and we can discuss a little bit of the four-year landscape. So as I mentioned, the 4 years are doing a little bit better, but even segments of their enrollment are lower, particularly in terms of the transfer population and continuing students, which of course negatively impacts their retention rate. When we're having discussions with these institutions, they are citing financial reasons as why a lot of students are opting out of returning, which brings us to the need to discuss financing, okay, which we'll do on the next slide. So I also saw in the thread, of course, a lot of questions about how can you support students to complete the FAFSA or TASFA, or what does that mean? And I would say the first thing you can do to support them is to, one, make sure that they know that these things exist. Again, I was having a conversation with my nephew who is going through that process right now. And when I told him about TASFA and FAFSA, he didn't have a clue what I was talking about. Now, I know my nephew, so I know that his college advisor told him at least once, if not twice. But as you know, the students are very distracted, and it's gonna take a community effort to make sure that we are doing an intentional job of informing them that they have resources here in terms of the FAFSA and in terms of the TASFA as well. Now, I know a lot of you are probably already aware, okay, that the FAFSA is going to be mandatory for the class of 2022 and beyond. And I think that that's going to be a great strategy to try to increase the college going rates and to ensure that students are properly positioned to receive federal and state aid as well. But ultimately, the students really have to understand that in order to become eligible for various grants and scholarships and study abroad opportunities, that they're going to have to complete that TASFA and FAFSA. So on the subsequent slides, I want to dive a little bit deeper into what each of these grants and awards could mean for college affordability. Okay, next slide. So really quick, in terms of the Texas grant, these are primarily for the students, of course, who are planning to attend a general academic institution, which, for lack of better words, is just a four-year institution, okay? And it's important to make sure that the students understand that the type of institution that they attend is going to dictate the type of aid that they are eligible for. And not only that, okay, but the status at which they choose to attend these institutions that are also going to be important, because as I said, a lot of the presidents were saying that students were not enrolling for as many hours, and of course, in order to receive a lot of these grants, you're going to have to either be full-time or half-time, and it's going to be important to make sure that the students realize that as well. Okay, go to the next slide. For the TEOG, of course, those are designated for the colleges, for the institutions who are opting for the two-year college experience. And then if you go to the next slide, you'll be able to see that the TEG is for those who are selecting private and independent colleges. And another important thing that I was having a conversation with my nephew about was the need for work study. Now, this is very personal again for me, because I actually got into higher ed as a 17-year-old freshman because of my work study position inside of the student union. And I just got extremely lucky to be able to apply and get that position. And so, of course, it'll be very important for our students to be intentional about the jobs in which they want to apply for, and to know that to use work study is a great benefit, because not only where they get paid to do these jobs, but they also get some exposure that could have career outcomes as well. So we'll go to the next slide and talk about the cost of attendance. Now, as an enrollment practitioner, I fielded a lot of questions about cost of attendance. I can remember having parents and students in my office, and they're like, I don't understand in terms of books or travel or room and board, all of those itemized things to say we are trying to predict how much college is gonna really cost, right? And so there's a difference in terms of the sticker price, because a lot of students understand tuition and fees, but those fees are a lot of different things in terms of room, in terms of board, in terms of technology, library, student support fees, athletic fees. There's a lot of things that go into that as well. And so we definitely want to make sure that we are explaining that to our students. In terms of the impact of COVID, a lot of students are experiencing that distance learner fee, and they are being very confused, because a lot of the students are saying, well, if I go to college right now, technically it should probably be a cheaper experience. And of course, the institutions have had to do a great job to adjust and offer a lot of classes online, and to do so, there's a hefty fee that the institution has to pay And of course, unfortunately, that cost is passed down to our students and families. Now, I will say that the state and institutions are trying to mitigate those costs by incorporating other strategies, such as the open education resources, which I talk about on the next slide. So the coordinating board is very happy to announce the launch of a digital repository for open educational resources. A lot of community colleges and four-year institutions have programs where all of the coursework can actually be completed while accessing OERs. And that's a really big deal. So pretty much what I'm saying is there are some two-year programs at a lot of different community colleges where if a student were to say, I want a AA in business administration, some of those programs are completely on the repository to where a student wouldn't have to purchase a single book or lab workbook or any of those things. And so if you're having a conversation with your students on how can you lower the cost of college for them, I think that it will be a very appropriate conversation for the students to consider programs that are 100% OER related. And if you go a lot of times to the websites of these institutions, you'll be able to see which programs will a student ultimately be able to complete in 2 years or 4 years without having to purchase a single book. And as many of you know, cost of the books can be very expensive. And so I would say that that's a very important strategy to speak to your students about, and perhaps that may be a great incentive to them to not only attend community colleges or start off at the community college level, but also to realize that they're going to be able to save a lot of money if they select a program that falls under the OER. Another cost mitigation for students may be through standardized testing as well. And I saw a lot of conversation inside the chat about that as well. So of course the standardized tests such as the ACT or SAT can cost a few $100s every time you take them. And a great thing right now is a lot of institutions are becoming test optional. And so even if you look at the flagships, okay, in terms of the A&M and UT Austin, they are saying that the students do not have to submit a test score for enrollment through fall 2022. And so the best thing that I think we can do to help our students, and it's the same thing I'm actually doing for my nephew. I have a list of all the schools that he is currently considering. And I have a column to say, is this institution a test optional or not? And if it is test optional, I have the date in terms of how long they're gonna be test optional. And so that's a great thing that I think schools should utilize right now. And students also should be able to utilize just because that's technically one less obstacle that students currently have to face in terms of having to pay and study for and perhaps retake as well. And so I would definitely suggest all of us to do as great of a job as possible to encourage your students to take advantage of the fact that a lot of the institutions are shelving the exams through at least 2021, and in some cases, 2022. I would be remiss if I did not mention a couple initiatives that we are hoping that will be very beneficial to you and your students. One initiative is the Future Focused Texas campaign, which is a collaboration between the coordinating board, Get Schooled, United for College Success, Texas OnCourse, and TexCan. The Future Focus Texas campaign is a public-private collaboration that ultimately aims to maintain college enrollments in Texas despite the effects of COVID. As I mentioned earlier in my presentation, many of our community colleges, and at this particular juncture, all but one, are experiencing a rather sharp decline from anywhere from 10% to 45%. And so this campaign is going to be a statewide effort that will provide free and compelling research-based digital content. And I'm sure Texas OnCourse is going to talk a little bit more about that as well, right? So I definitely don't want to steal their thunder, but I'm really excited about that particular initiative. And the last initiative I'm also very excited about is our chatbot. If you want to go to the next slide, we developed a chatbot at the coordinating board to better support your students. I remember when I worked in enrollment, and as a lot of you know, of course, because you work with students, they have questions at all times of the day and at night as well. And when the questions come to them in the middle of the night, they will either ask that question, which is great, but of course, they're probably not going to get a response at 2 o'clock in the morning, or they may say, I'm going to wait and ask tomorrow. And of course, by the time tomorrow comes, they've forgotten and their question never gets answered. So we're really excited to be able to roll out a chatbot that's going to do two things really. One, is going to be there to support your students to answer questions in terms of enrollment and admissions, and perhaps things even related to COVID as well. But for two, the chatbot is also going to be there to prompt your students to complete various admission milestones as well. So in terms of completing the task for FAFSA, or getting advised, or turning in a verification document, whatever the case may be, the chatbot is going to be there to prompt students to complete a lot of things that they tend to forget, that if it goes unnoticed, then it could obviously impact the student's ability to attend and matriculate through college. So I want all of you all to help us promote this to your students. And it's really easy to opt in. Okay, they can do so by texting college, at the number at the bottom, or when they complete their Apply Texas application, all they have to do is indicate that they want to receive text messages as well. Next slide. And so those are a few of the updates that I have for you all from the coordinating board. And I am very excited about this upcoming school year, although I know it's going to be very different. I think that if we all work together, of course, we'll be able to, to support our students.
Thank you so much, Dakota. We are sharing and keeping track of some of the questions that folks are having. I know we have quite a few counselors and advisors that even shared some test optional documents and things like that. So we will keep track. And I'm going to turn it over to Samantha Gonzalez to talk a little bit about the Texas OnCourse Academy Resources Spotlight.
Thanks, Laura and Dakota. That was really great information. So I'll be highlighting a couple of resources, both from the Academy and from outside sources, to help support college planning during these times. For those on the webinar new to Texas OnCourse, the Academy is our online professional learning resource for college and career advising. It's free for all Texas educators and will help you prepare any student for any post-secondary option. To get to the Academy from the Texas OnCourse homepage, simply click on the Tools drop-down menu And then on that webpage, you will need to click Educator, Login to create your free account. So Prep Matters recently sat down with Jeff Selingo, who is the author of Who Gets In and Why, to discuss the world of college admissions. The following are some recommendations that came from that interview. Focus on grades and curriculum. They mentioned that the trajectory of grades and type and difficulty of classes taken in high school matter the most to admission officers. Explore testing options. They recommended that if it is not safe for a student or their family to have them take the SAT or ACT, institutions don't encourage taking the test. Many colleges have turned, like Dakota mentioned, to test optional, and students should highly consider including these schools on their college list. The application should tell a complete story of the student. Admission officers aren't detectives. They are depending on an application to tell them who the student is and if that student is truly interested in enrolling at their institution. The student should match their story with that of the institutions. Create a diverse college list. Often students are still trying to understand what type of institution means, such as a rural institution or a small liberal arts college. Students should start out with a diverse list regarding the type, then narrow it down once they have had the chance to visit physically or virtually, depending on the circumstance. Make your essay stand out. We recognize that many students will choose to talk about how the COVID-19 pandemic has affected them as one of their college essays. However, students should take advantage of the open response questions related to COVID-19 that many colleges have now added to their college applications. So the COVID-19 pandemic has continuously created some financial hardships for many, which has in turn impacted college-going plans. Many colleges and universities across Texas offer tuition guarantee programs for students and families who meet a certain family income amount set by that school, among other requirements, which also vary from school to school. Visit the Academy to download your copy of the tuition guarantee program's handout to share with students and families as they think about their college plans for next fall. So the following is an update once verification season comes around. Although the IRS tax transcript requests are still available online for an electronic version, many filers may have difficulty accessing this option. Federal Student Aid is also aware that the IRS has stopped processing transcript requests by mail until further notice. However, students and families are still required to obtain that verification of non-filing from the IRS or other tax authorities. Because of the difficulty during these unprecedented times, FSA reminds institutions of other acceptable documentation for non-tax filers. For independent students and parents of dependent students who did not file and are not required to file an income tax return, an institution may accept a signed statement or a copy of the IRS Form W-2 or a substitute of that form. A dependent student who is a non-tax filer is excluded from this verification requirement. The Department of Education also encourages financial aid administrators to use their professional judgment to reflect more accurately the financial need of students and families that have been affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. So the following slides are to help you navigate the Academy to locate learning resources, such as the tuition guarantee programs highlighted today. Here's an example of the Texas OnCourse Academy layout and dashboard once the learner has logged in and wants to check their progress and explore our modules. To locate today's resource, you will first need to select the financial aid content area, which is shown on screen. You can see the different badges you can earn after completing each module within that badge. Within the financial aid content area, you'll click on the college costs badge. The college finances module will be the only module that appears for this badge. If you would like to locate the tuition guarantee programs handout, it will be located in Unit 1. And you can also locate our resources in the additional resources section at the end of each module within the Academy and at our Pinterest page. And I will hand it over to Laura.
Great, thank you, Samantha. You pointed out some really great resources. Dakota started to mention some programs that the Higher Education Coordinating Board was working on collaboratively, and Allison Rizzolo from Texas OnCourse is going to talk about those program updates.
Great, thanks, Laura. Yeah, you can go ahead to the next slide. And I wanted to just share with everyone a couple of new initiatives that Texas OnCourse is involved in, both of which are designed to really help you support your students on their college going aspirations, despite the challenges that COVID-19 has thrown into our path this year. So I'll talk about both of these in turn, but this is just a quick overview slide. First, we have college and career support from Texas College Bridge. We worked together with TEA and College Forward to create a new free advising guide for you to support your students if they are involved in the Texas College Bridge program. And then also Future Focus Texas, which Dakota had mentioned. We're working together with a number of organizations for a campaign or on a campaign that again provides free resources for you to pass along directly to your students. So let's look at each of these programs in turn. You can go ahead to the next slide, Laura. So first, the advising guide for college and career support is available here at this URL, which I can actually grab for you. Excuse me for just one second, and I will throw this resource in the chat box for you. Oh, Tam already got it. I should have guessed that she would have. So this is a new free advising guide. What we provide in this guide is recommended modules in the academy, handouts, blog articles, webinars, all sorts of resources for you so that you are able to answer any student questions or provide student support as they are going through the college and career support portion of the Texas College Bridge program. If you're not familiar with Texas College Bridge, we can go ahead to the next slide. So Texas College Bridge is from TEA, and it involves math and English courses designed to help your students become college ready that TEA is now newly providing online for you, or for your students actually. So your students can access these courses for free, again, online at Texas College Bridge, and then TEA partnered with College Forward on the next slide to provide a component specific to helping students enroll in college, understand financial aid, kind of get through all of those steps of actually going to college. So again, TEA has the math and English course available online. College Forward has the college and career actual process available online for your students. And we have an advising guide for you to help your students through all of this. And then the next resource that I want to talk about, which is the one that Dakota had mentioned, is Future Focus Texas. And more information on this program is available at the URL on the slide here. What's in it for you is a monthly package of free digital resources that you can pass along directly to your students. These resources are designed by Get Schooled. If you're not familiar with Get Schooled, they are really, truly like superb experts in engaging student content. So you can really trust that you know, any resources that you get through this initiative is going to be something that will really engage your students and help them learn and navigate through the college enrollment process. And you can sign up to receive those packages at the URL on the screen, and that Tama has just shared in the chat box. And that is all for me. So I will go ahead and turn it over to Caitlin.
Thanks. Again, I'm Caitlin Watson. I'm the College and Career Coordinator in Gerald ISD, and I'm going to kind of come from a district perspective on how COVID-19 has affected us and how we're planning to support our students. This quote here, uncertainty marks today, tomorrow, and the foreseeable future. Accept what you can't change and try to focus on the things that you can, has been my motto for our students here in Gerald, supporting parents and families as this process has changed, even from our recent graduates, and it will continue to change. Some best practices right now I've listed here, some virtual meetings. I know every district has different policies and procedures on that, so please be sure you're tuning in. One thing that has worked for us is recording our individual meetings with students and then sharing that with the parents. So when I have senior conferences and discuss kind of what's next, even for those parents that can't be there, we are sharing that with them and the student for their reference. Outreach and updates, providing opportunities for them. I know right now I'm seeing my role as I'm gathering all the info, as you all are by participating in this webinar, as really a filter to make sense of it and return it to our families and students in a way that makes sense to them. But really gathering info needs to be a priority of all of ours right now as we stay as connected as we can be through all the resources shared here today. Collaborating with others involved, including webinars like this, but as well as with your teams and teachers. Virtual college tours are available, as well as so many resources that are being shared in this chat box. I love it. There's checklists and different timelines to keep people up to date while things are changing. I think just open communication, staying positive and proactive as things change is their most important skills right now. This is a quote from Castle. I think that they really did a great job summing up our needs. They say, as the country and the world absorb the impact of the coronavirus, our interconnectedness has never been more clearly on display. SEL offers a powerful means to support one another, children and adults, during this challenging time. Now more than ever, we understand how important it is to demonstrate empathy and resilience, build relationships across distance, and call upon our collective resolve to strengthen our schools and communities. This stuck out to me particularly because SEL, we are here to equip our students with the tools and that they need to be successful in their futures, and what they need looks different right now. So despite plans changing and some feelings of disempowerment, we're here to combat that with the skills necessary to succeed. Some ways to support students right now. We know that empowerment increases when a person feels a sense of control over their daily lives. So future planning on a large scale, really one of the questions that came up today was how to engage our juniors specifically, but really in engaging all of our students, I'm coming at this from a very goal-centered approach. So finding opportunities for a student to take on different responsibilities that get them closer to their long-term goal. So building objectives that are attainable right now towards something that might feel really far off or have a lot of unknowns. So setting up steps to those goals and chunking it in really bite-sized pieces that help our students see the bigger picture. On kind of a smaller scale, identify ways to give students choice. Small things on a frequent basis can really boost confidence and shift perspective to see potential and possibilities. And with that self-efficacy, we are putting into play some activities that weren't here before. So for example, some personality and learning style indicator tests, and some goal resetting because goals look different than they may have before. I would love to hear in the chat box how you are supporting your students. How are you connecting with them, really bridging the different learning styles, whether they be in person or virtual right now. I know one thing that has come up for me is helping students recognize if they work well as a virtual learner or if they work well as an in-person learner, and really helping them base their future planning off of just that basic question. Communication, really staying clear, direct, including updates on college readiness, testing, applications, and deadlines, which I know we are all absorbing as well. This webinar alone has been so much information, and we are going to have to really filter that and disseminate it in a way that makes sense. But being transparent in what we do and don't know. That last bullet says model flexibility, adaptability, and understanding, be approachable and transparent. There have been many times, just as Laura said at the beginning of this webinar, where we have to say, if we don't know, we're going to find out, and being honest in what we do know for the time being is really something that we need to lean on. Resilience, encourage your students to use their past triumphs through trials and remind them how far they've come. I really built this slide with thinking about resumes and how our students are gaining so many skills, including resilience, in this difficult time. So teaching them how to use what they know, whether that be technology skills or or their previous experience or experience they're going through right now, to market themselves in a productive way, whether that be through their essays or through their resume, what works for them in terms of their best work and how they can use what they're experiencing to grow. Supports, embracing them. I know Dakota spoke to how distracted our students can be right now, which is so true, and that it's going to be a community effort to support our students in the best ways we can. This is really a new opportunity for us to call in people who might not have been positive players in our students' future planning before, but encouraging our families to access supports during this time, reframing strengths and silver linings, really providing opportunities for connection, whether that be mentors or just key players here at school, and opportunities for positive communication, collaboration, and involving anyone who interacts with students often to be those reminders that Dakota mentioned of, hey, don't forget you have these supports in play, because they do, and they need to access them even though there are many distractions right now. Kind of pulling together all of these slides, there are really three things that we're focusing on right now. Right now, we're meeting students where they are when it comes to COVID-related fears, needs, or concerns, whether that be mindset, physical, or health. We're getting them out of that place of disengagement or disempowerment, and we are going to that middle part of providing SEL for students for post-secondary anxiety, expectations, coping, life skills, whether that be equipping them with the information they need to take the next steps or getting out of a rut they might find themselves in. And lastly, we are supporting and encouraging future planning. We are doing interest inventories, application support, and academic updates to make sure that everyone is on the same and right page. What other supports do you need in your college planning with students? If you can provide your answers in the chat box, that would be awesome.
Perfect. Thank you, Caitlin. We're doing great on time. We'll go ahead and provide a little bit of information for people to share in terms of other supports that you might need. And then we'll take a little bit of time and see if we can answer some questions that maybe we haven't addressed yet in our webinar before we close at 11 a.m. So if you want to go ahead and put those comments in the chat, we'll take a look at those. Since I'm seeing some questions, Caitlin, do you want to talk a little bit about what inventories you're using with students, since I'm seeing some questions pop up?
Absolutely. We are kind of looking at things from a much broader angle than we had previously. So some of the more fun and out of the box things that we're doing with our students are, I've shared with them the Enneagram quiz, as well as Myers-Briggs, to really kind of think about their personality and what their strengths and weaknesses are. We've also done a couple learning style inventories that they were excited about. And we've also, we are partnering with U-Science to do some kind of college career inventories that they can actually play 11 games and get some feedback on what they might be most successful in. So they've been really excited about the personality ones, I think, more than anything, just to be able to connect with each other on, oh, what number are you on Enneagram, or what letters are you for Myers-Briggs? And it's been a tool for connection that has bridged a lot of us. And I know with some students being able to share my or other teachers what they fall into has really bridged some connection as well. So I think it's brought us closer in more ways than one, more than just the resume building and future planning piece, but also just that connectivity that we're all lacking.
Sure, and this is just an open question for probably Caitlin or even Samantha for y'all to address, just in terms of like finding these inventories. And then Samantha, we had a question about accessing the Texas tuition document within the Academy. Do you mind reviewing that?
Yes, the tuition guarantees program handout is located in Unit 1 of the College Finances module within the Academy. I will reshare that comment I shared in the chat not too long ago. I'll go find it and drop it.
Thank you, Samantha. That would be great. And we've had a couple of questions too. We will record our webinar and we send the resources and the links out. So you'll be able to see the slides as well. And there's a link there. I'm going to go ahead and go to the question box and see if we were able to address some of those in the webinar. Dakota, we had a question, should students fill out the TASFA and the FAFSA? Do you want to review that information?
Yes, definitely. So the students should complete both. You'll want to complete the FAFSA. I believe that opens October 1. And so you definitely want to do that. And then the priority deadline for the TASFA is January the 15th. And so you also want to do that. For the students, if they do not complete the TASFA, they won't be able to access the state funds. Okay, so the TEOG, Texas Grant, some TEG, and the work study dollars as well. They'll have to complete the TASFA in order to access those particular funds. And so you definitely want to do both.
And just to kind of add to that, the FAFSA, the TASFA is for students who are undocumented and also not, they don't classify as students with the certain visa requirements that the FAFSA requires. So just a quick clarification.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, thank you for that, Samantha. And I would say, just to follow that up, always check with the institution on which application they're requiring, because there's always some specifics and there's always some exceptions every now and then in terms of those applications. I'm going to look at this one since we have a couple of more time. What kind of entrance requirements do community colleges have versus four-year requirements? Dakota, you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so typically the community colleges are what we would call open access. And so what that means is they have a set of requirements that they ask students to complete. And if a student is able to complete all of those particular requirements in terms of like the applications and the shots and the high school transcripts, then they are already accepted. Of course, at the university level, there may be some stricter requirements in terms of a particular scores on the ACT or SAT or high school GPA. And so it's more of a process to actually apply and get acceptance into.
Thank you, Dakota. And then I see another one here. Just someone had asked about suggestions on keeping juniors engaged in SAT and ACT test prep while they hear colleges are going test optional right now. I saw some folks share resources in here, and yes, there are schools that are going test optional. If I were advising a student, in this moment, not all schools are going test optional, and it is a different piece of the puzzle in terms of an application profile. The SAT and the ACT exams are not disappearing. They still exist, and it's a different measure of aptitude or intelligence, and also curriculum. So if you're in a school where there is SAT and ACT test prep, I would still advise students to actively participate in that test prep for sure. Test optional schools are changing rapidly. But we certainly don't want students to make any decisions that would, inadvertently harm their application process.
Laura, I'll chime in there. This is Caitlin as well. And really, I think just reminding them of that ultimate goal or what their long-term plans are, including kind of that wiggle room, and reminding them that, well, their school that have their eyes set on right now might be test optional. One of their backup schools might not be, and being as prepared as they can be is their greatest tool right now.
That's great. Thanks for clarification, Caitlin. We have a couple of more minutes, so I'll go in the chat box if anybody would like to add any specific questions. And while you're doing that, just to remember, if you joined us late, don't forget to follow our YouTube channel. That is where we will post this webinar once it is edited and recorded, and we have our other monthly webinars on that channel as well.
Laura, this is Dakota. Is it okay if I chime in really quick?
Please do, please do.
And so I want to make sure I was clear when I said that students can apply for both. So I meant that some students would apply for only the FAFSA, but for the students who are not eligible to apply for the FAFSA, they then would apply for the TASFA because of whatever ineligibility that they may have. Okay, but for the TASFA, of course, the students would have to be a Texas resident and would have had to, go into high school in the state of Texas as well for at least 3 years. And so one particular student would not complete both, but students who are eligible for FAFSA, of course, should do the FAFSA, and that opens October 1st. Students who are not eligible for the FAFSA should complete the TASFA, and that priority deadline is January the 15th. I apologize about any confusion about that. I apologize.
No problem, and I'm just going to reread this. TASFA is for students who are ineligible for federal aid through FAFSA, and they also must be a Texas resident.
Laura, another great question I see in the chat box from a little bit earlier was how are you getting information out to students who have connectivity issues at home? And I know here one of the things that we're doing is I'm offering just some scheduled time that kids and parents can come up to the school to get the same resources that everyone else is getting. Of course, I'm willing to print things here at school if families don't have connection at home. There are certainly resources that they lack, but we want to make sure they have an equal opportunity. So giving them that time and space and resource of being able to come up to school and use our Wi-Fi or computers or whatever their need might be, this has been a safe place for so many students and families as needed. So making sure that remains a resource.
Thank you, Caitlin. And I just want to, once again, as we close out, special thanks to Dakota Doman for all of those updates on enrollment from the coordinating board, Samantha Gonzalez for our academy resources, Allison Rizzolo for those program updates, and Caitlin Watson for all of those best practices. As I mentioned, our monthly webinar series is the first Tuesday of each month. It's right on our website. October, we're going to talk about the TSIA 2, and we will keep track of our questions and send you the webinar recording in just a few business days. Thank you all so much. Stay healthy and safe and have a wonderful week. Thank you.